Hi kids, today we are going to discuss an interesting lesson in history, Ashoka, the emperor who gave up war. Now, when it comes to the previous lessons of history, like the lesson number 7, we discussed that how the Raja of a community or Jana transformed into the Raja of Mahajanapada and the Mahajanapada became a kingdom. Now, we shall study how the kingdom developed and emerged as an empire, that is, the first empire. So, we shall study about Ashoka, the great emperor who gave up war. Now, when it comes to empire, what does the word empire mean? Following ways. Now, when it comes to the empires, they are larger than kingdoms, and emperors they need more resources than kings. That is the first difference. Coming to the second difference, emperors need big armies to protect larger areas than that of the kingdoms. The emperors need a larger number of officials to collect taxes from the vast empire. What is a dynasty? Now, when the members of the same family become rulers one after another, the family is often called a dynasty. For example, the Mauryan dynasty. Hope if you recollect, we discussed about the Mauryan dynasty in the previous lesson. We said that this particular dynasty is one of the famous Mahajanapada. Now in this lesson we are going to discuss about the Mauryan dynasty only. Now how? Because Chandragupta Maurya, his son Bindusara and Bindusara's son Ashoka became three important Mauryan rulers of the Magadha. So hope now you understood that the Mauryan dynasty is, the founder of the Mauryan dynasty is Chandragupta Maurya. Now the first empire, the Mauryan Empire. In the 7th chapter we read that around 2500 years ago, Magadha became the most important Mahajanapada. It had many powerful rulers like Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, as well as Mahapadmananda of the Nanda dynasty. Chandragupta Maurya. In 321 BC, Chandragupta Maurya defeated the last Nanda king, Dhanananda, and seized the throne of Magadha. He then turned his attention towards Punjab, western and northwestern India. After Alexander's death, his generals began to fight among themselves for the control of his vast empire. Among those generals, one general was Seleucus Nicator, one of Alexander's general. He became the ruler of the area that was stretching from the Asia Minor to the Indus. Now, this Chandragupta Maurya and Seleucus Nicator had a war, and obviously Seleucus Nicator lost a battle. So, Chandragupta Maurya married Seleucus Nicator's daughter Helen. In this way, the Mauryan Empire was established. This marks the beginning of a new period in Indian history. Now, for the first time, a large part of the country was politically unified under the Mauryas. Now, when it comes to the victory of Chandragupta Maurya, we can't give the credit. We need to give the credit to a person named as Kautilya. Okay, he is even called as Chanakya. Now, Chanakya had a personal grudge against Dhanananda. Chanakya wrote a famous book also on politics called Arthashastra. Now, the real name of Chanakya was Vishnugupta. It is said that Dhanananda insulted him, so he took a vow to destroy the Dhanananda dynasty, destroy the Nanda dynasty. Chanakya was a teacher at the Takshila University at the time of Alexander's invasion. Later, he became the guide and mentor of Chandragupta Maurya and overthrew the Nandas. Now Bindusara. Chandragupta Maurya was succeeded by his son Bindusara in 297 BC. He conquered the Deccan area and extended his empire up to Karnataka. He was succeeded by his son Ashoka. Now here comes Ashoka the Great. Ashoka is one of the greatest rulers known in history. He ascended the throne in 273 BC. He was the first ruler who tried to spread his message directly to the people through inscriptions. Most of the Ashokan inscriptions are written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. Ashoka was the only king in the history of the world who gave up conquest after winning a war. Now there was a rumor about Ashoka saying that he killed his cousins to become a king. Ashoka, a ruler of his own class. Ashoka was the most famous ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. He was the first ruler who spread his message among the people through inscriptions. Now most of the inscriptions were in Prakrit, the language of the ordinary people. Now when it comes to Prakrit, we already discussed that Prakrit is the language of the common people. The next, the Kalinga War. When Ashoka ascended the throne, Kalinga was the only kingdom that was not under the Mauryan control. Now if you see the slide, we can see in the map, Kalinga was located towards the coastal Orissa. In the coastal Orissa. Okay, now Kalinga is the ancient name of coastal Orissa. It was a very powerful kingdom. It controlled the land and sea routes to South India and Southeast Asia. Control on this kingdom would certainly give Ashoka a greater economic prosperity. That is the reason he wanted Kalinga under his control. So, in the year 261 BC, Ashoka attacked Kalinga and won it after a bitter struggle. About 1.5 lakh people were captured. More than 1 lakh people were killed. Ashokan Empire now spread from the Himalayas in the north to Mysore in the south, and from Brahmaputra in the east to the Hindu Kush in the northwest. Now, once the war was completed, most of the land was in the control of the Mauryans. But Ashoka was not at all happy the way the war ended. We can say that the war did not bring any joy and satisfaction to him. The reason is the great destruction, death and human sufferings in the war filled his heart with sorrow and remorse. This war became a turning point in Ashoka's life. He decided not to fight any more wars but to win the hearts of the people with love. He was influenced with the Buddhist principles of compassion, peace and non-violence. He adopted Buddhism. From then onwards, he devoted his life to the moral and the material welfare of the people. He adopted the policy of winning people through dhamma in the place of conquering them through force. That's it for now.